Hello my fellow Aikidokas. After some pause, I have returned with some more content for my Rediscovering Aikido basic series. I have already made 6 videos exploring techniques from the founder's book called Budo, A Martial Way. If you have missed some of these, please consider watching it. These are well-researched, meticulously recreated techniques as practiced by the founder of this noble art himself. This time, I'm presenting for you a Kote Gaeshi technique. Please enjoy it, and also please help my content become more discoverable by subscribing or pressing the like button. Now I won't keep you waiting any longer. Please enjoy watching. Kote Gaeshi is a basic Aikido technique, one of the most often used and recognizable techniques from Aikido's technical repertoire. Because of its significant effectiveness, it can be found in some other martial art styles. In the founder's manual, Budo, this technique appears even 3 times. But for now, let's focus on this one, labeled as technique number 8. As usual, we are provided with some simple instructions and 4 grainy photographs. Let us please analyze what is shown in those pictures. From the first glance, it all looks pretty standard and usual. Attack shown and described is from Shomenuchi, or overhead strike attack. Then we are instructed to execute a body turn, then follows opening up with the left foot and downing the opponent with the wrist twist technique. As for the hold, we are provided with this image. So all this looks like standard Kote Gaeshi Tenkan we're all very much familiar with. Well, there seems to be an unusual pin variation for Kote Gaeshi, nothing more. So nothing to be rediscovered here, right? Now, for reference, let's look at Saito Sensei's take on it. It sort of looks like the technique from the pictures. As you may know, Saito Sensei is considered by many to be a very reliable source when it comes to founder's way of doing the techniques. But let's look at this even more closely and analyze it. First thing you have to realize about Budo manual is that you cannot trust 100% sequencing of the techniques nor provided instructions that comes with it. I won't go into all details as to why it's so for now. Best proof of it is each of my videos. In short, it was not Oshiba Sensei who actually edited the Budo 1938 manual, so there are numerous inaccuracies and plain mistakes in it. In any case, you'll have to trust me on this. Now, this is not your normal Kote Gaeshi. This is forgotten variation of this technique. This is Kote Gaeshi Ura Kihon. After more detailed inspection, one thing becomes clear, is that each segment from this technique is taken from different sequence, because obviously each still shot takes place at different place of the dojo. So we better be careful trusting and reconstructing this technique precisely as shown in the manual. So first we are instructed to execute this technique from Shomenuchi strike. But that's not necessarily the case. You see, best conditions for Kote Gaeshi Ura to work is if you enter deeply behind your opponent in Tenkan motion, and that is not what you get from Shomenuchi strike while deflecting the strike with your Tegatana. There is another, more suitable attack for Kote Gaeshi Ura, that's Tsuki attack. Actually, we have it in Budo manual named as Technique 33. Obviously, technique to be executed here would be Kote Gaeshi. In fact, it is written next to this photograph to execute technique number 8. That's Kote Gaeshi. In short, let's do this technique from Tsuki rather than from Shomenuchi. It's simply because we'll get more reliable, more authentic sequence for this technique. Now, this is the key images for reconstructing this technique correctly. As we can see from this picture, Osensei turned and moved his body deeply behind his opponent, in a rather unusual way for regular Kote Gaeshi. There's a reason for it. Everything has reasons. Aikido as practiced by the founder was a very rational and practical martial art. You see, from this deeper toe-to-toe Irimi Tenkan, when you stand side by side by your opponent, you cannot reach his face with your temi, as in case, for example, from Shomenuchi strike. So you cannot create favorable conditions for successful execution of this technique. Without a temi, you are likely to be countered. This is one of core principles. Also, you cannot simply open up your leg and attempt a wrist turn technique from this position, because there is absolutely nothing to prevent your opponent to open up his own leg to your front and counter you. For example, this is the reason why you need to step on your opponent's toe from this angle in this Nikkyo variation. This is why it is essential to cut your opponent's ability to counter and resist right away by shifting your body swiftly and instantly, putting your opponent in disadvantageous and unbalanced position. Now, he cannot counter or turn or step. This creates perfect conditions for Kote Gaeshi to work. The only way is down. This is Osensei's technique. So, even though these two pictures are from different sequences, they are definitely correct, no doubt about it. It is this deep entry to the rear what makes this technique a rear version of Kote Gaeshi. But seemingly, this technique fell into disuse or was simply misunderstood and forgotten. Even in so-called most traditional style of Aikido, Iwama-ryu style, there is no Kote Gaeshi Urakihon, only Omote frontal version, and in my opinion, fused together a hybrid version of the technique. But there is some good evidence that even after the war, Shiba Sensei taught Kote Gaeshi Ura technique as depicted in the Priva manual. Recently, I found a rare manual by Tadashi Abe Sensei. He was a devoted student of the founder during Iwama period after the war. In his book, he demonstrates both Omote and Ura techniques of Kote Gaeshi. Without a doubt, this is the same Kote Gaeshi technique as demonstrated by the founder in his 1938 manual. I was delighted to find at least one example of this technique amongst founder's direct students. This further confirms that my recreation of this technique is correct, and that this technique has been taught after the war as well. Now for the pin. After throwing your partner with Kote Gaeshi, the instructions to pin your opponent as shown in this picture. But after close analysis, it's quite clear that the pin shown is from Shihonage throw, not from Kote Gaeshi. This picture fits well with this Shihonage sequence. This is most likely Shihonage pin. To be fair, actually there is a possibility, a variation to switch to Shihonage pin after Kote Gaeshi. I've seen Tomiki Sensei demonstrating it. I've seen Abe Sensei using it as well in his Kote Gaeshi Omote. Also, Daitoryu people have this as variation pin for Kote Gaeshi. So there's a possibility to pin after Kote Gaeshi like that. But we are not sure. Now, Abe Sensei in his book uses standard standing pin for Kote Gaeshi Ura. In any case, I want my recreation of Budo techniques to be as authentic as possible, so I exclude demonstrating the pin since we don't really have it. You may try either of these pin variations. After the throw, actually, you are already under control. He cannot get away easily, nor he can hit you, but you can. This is a brilliant version of Kote Gaeshi. You should try it yourself and consider it incorporating in your regular Aikido practice. This technique is ideal for situations when you turn more deeply behind your partner, as in tsuki, yokumen, or attempted grabs, attacks like that. In the near future, I have another gem for you, an Iriminage technique, so please stay tuned. For now, thank you for watching and enjoy your training.